A big thing that hurts Alien vs. Predator Requiem right up front is the germ that birthed this film. The movie was touted to be gory, violent, and being different from the PG-13 one. The film promised a Predalien and a Predator home world. There is a lot of forced references in this film harkening back to earlier Alien or Predator movies, and it's honestly tiring. They keep waving these things at you to remind you that you are watching an Alien or Predator film, but what the studio didn't realize is that the core of these franchises were intelligent storytelling, not just slasher action. This movie was a little about the narrative or the characters that inhabited it, and more about tidbits that should be subtle givens in any sequel following Alien or Predator films. What's worse was that even actors who worked hard in the film were propped up as promising nostalgic connections rather than being allowed to stand by themselves on their own merits. When asked about the casting of Ryko Aylesworth, this was said: "She's very commanding but sexy. There's something a tiny bit Ripley about her. That was what attracted us to her." The problem was Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Predator, and Predator 2 were defined by mood, characters, and tone, and yet AVP 2 was banking on callbacks and violence to make it popular. We're hoping for the most violent Predator film yet. So gore and violence were the key, and Cameron said it best when he made Aliens.
You don't create fear with gore, you create disgust. It's a whole different emotion.
Unfortunately, AVP Requiem would do just that. It was a film that pumped out violence and action, and after a sustained period, folks get tired of that, especially audiences that crave deeper things in their films. This brings us to the most common gripe on any video you see on Alien vs. Predator Requiem, and that's how dark it is. Film is a visual medium. We are supposed to see the art on screen, not squint desperately to see anything. Look at the picture here. I have not altered it in any way. What is it? If you have to squint or think hard about it, and it takes more than 2 seconds, as it appeared in the finished film, you can understand the problem. Even in daylight, this film is unnecessarily and unnaturally dark. In the movie 7, the color grading matched the grim case the detectives followed. The color mirrored the tone set by the story. But in AVP 2, the darkness tries to set the tone itself, and it crashes the entire project. Even if there were guys in suits playing monsters, the way you use the camera to visualize those suits is the standard of horror. Just look at John Carpenter's The Thing, or previous Earthbound Predator films. Hell, even Alien and Aliens, as well as Alien 3, including that one in the Arctic with aliens. As much as folks bash Paul W.S. Anderson, Alien vs. Predator was visually competent, and the aliens were filmed well. You do not need to turn the entire screen black to hide the creatures. And right up front, I'm going to tell you the brightness of this film, or lack thereof, destroys the quality of this movie by 50% in my eyes. Regardless of its story, effects, performances, tension, or anything else, the movie starts out as a C grade, or 5 out of 10. I don't care if this seems harsh. I wouldn't go to a museum of art and have to squint blindly trying to find a painting, and if I found it, I need to see it. The bare minimum requirement for seeing a movie is to see it, right, wrong, or indifferent. At the beginning of the film, the movie starts with the music fading, just like Alien 3 after the logo, and during the credits you hear motion tracker sounds, and since there are no motion trackers in this movie, why are they doing this? Well, to hint to you that you're going to see an Alien movie. I'm not going to call out all the callbacks in the movie from here on. I don't need to point out that one of the main character's name is Dallas, which harkens back to Dallas, and a ton of other things. I'm showing you that right up front, this is the main selling point for the movie, and it's wasted time going over it later. Now I'm going to be completely transparent and tell you that I love callbacks in my sequels, but I believe that 5 to 10 callbacks organically placed works in film. Generally, I think anything over that is a bit indulgent unless it's used for comedic purposes. Sadly, even the things they call back on, they screw up in a way. At the beginning of the film, the set of the Predator ship was changed for artistic reasons, regardless of continuity, and this would start the film off bad right away, because money was wasted refilming something that Fox already had filmed and completed, and it could have been money used somewhere smarter. But instead, this film wanted to make that scene its own, which is completely disrespectful to the film it's supposed to follow. This is a red flag on any film, and it is commonly seen today, which is one of the reasons why movies and shows are so disjointed today. Changing the altar on the ship was a conscious decision by the brothers Strauss. We redesigned the altar that Scar's body is on to make the ship a little more predatorish. When the Predator ship gets to Saturn or another similar planetoid, I don't trust the continuity of this film. A scout ship detaches and returns to Earth, seemingly minutes after the Predalien was born. No reason is given other than we need to get this ship back to Earth so we can start our story. Meanwhile, on board, the set for the ship was green screen, and you can see that footage here. When we see trophies on the ship, you can make out an alien queen, and if you look real close, you'll see a space jockey skull right here. Now, is this film trying to tell me that humans are smarter than this spacefaring predator species? Because even in labs, there are alarms when something, whether biological or biochemical, is loose in an environment. Even dumb films express this reality, and yet these predators that have outrageously destructive creatures captured on their ship have no alarms if they are moving around? Whatever, I'm moving on. This now brings us to the gestation period of the Predalien. Because the movie is just under 2 minutes in and the Predalien has matured enough to kill predators. The director stated that the Predalien managed to move around the big Predator ship and found its way into this hunting craft that returned to Earth. This, unfortunately, makes it feel like the Predalien grew really fast and the ship didn't get far from Earth. Although the whole approach to this is confusing and muddled, I can believe time passed for the Predalien to grow somewhat, but honestly, the film does not allow you to come to these conclusions because it is racing from start to finish, and therefore it doesn't come off plausible. The gestation and time lapses in this film are just unbelievable because the film takes place in under 36 hours from the moment Buddy and his son are face-hugged to the moment the helicopter crashes at the end. And to show you this, I'll do a quick timeline and then I'll be done with this. We can guess, to be generous, it's early morning for the hunters when they are hugged. Then the sheriff picks up Dallas, the pizza is delivered, and then a chest burst occurs creating 2 aliens. We then meet Kelly's family, and then the homeless people are face-hugged, and there are 2 full-grown aliens there per this production shot, though one is shown clearly in the film. Then Wolf arrives, and a search party is sent out. Then the brothers are in the sewer and see a new chest burster while the search party goes on. On day 2, everyone has breakfast. Roy is found, Jess flirts with Ricky, and then the Predator fights in the sewer, killing 2 aliens. The Predalien escapes, and then the power plant occurs, and the rest of the night is chaos until the copter crashes down the next morning. Now, the Predalien was called Her by the directors. Their goal was to have predator mandibles that could cover a face of a human like a facehugger, and an alien tongue which would be used as the impregnation device. An interesting idea for this creature put forth by the Strauss brothers was that they believed a warrior and a queen had a middle ground, and that middle ground was the Predalien, in that she is a young queen, and to propagate faster, she could impregnate without huggers, and could implant litters into someone. This way, when the Predalien grew into a full Pred Queen, she could have protectors for her hive upon the conclusion of her evolution. The Predalien was also noted to have 10 to 15% of predator biology, with the rest alien. It had a formation of a queen dome, advertising what it was to evolve into. A very nice detail that you can barely see in the film is the Predalien's dome, which has see-through eye sockets within a skull, like the first Alien from 1979. Like the first AVP, the predators must shift their vision to see aliens specifically, and this was a nice nod, respecting the canon, though most don't notice this. Then, a stupid predator decides to blow holes in the ship. This makes the predator really ignorant, because space truckers knew not to shoot holes in their ship. But this trained seasoned hunter didn't know. I honestly wish the predators in the beginning were a bit smarter with the Predalien on the ship, because predators deserve to be treated as intelligent hunters with situational awareness. Spending 10 minutes on the ship in the beginning playing cat and mouse to survive before the crash would have really helped the quality and tension of this film. The Predalien would have been more of a threat for the rest of the film as well. That is, if we could have seen those first 10 minutes. Another dumb predator moment is that facehuggers are escaping while a predator is lying on the floor. This predator sends out a distress rather than nuke the site like he should. It would have taken about the same time probably, and had this predator done this, everything would have been solved. Another issue is that the Predalien kills this predator rather than using him as a host. I guess Predaliens really hate predators rather than build its hive and protection. Now, the earlier script made sense about the infestation, as we have covered in part 1, but the alien infestation in this film is ridiculously fast, just like the Predalien, and the first script at least took its time to build tension and get to know some character elements. Whether they were good or bad is up to you. The thing is, Buddy and his son burst in a very short time, and in the first script it was more logical, with gestation taking some time, as they were moved to the sewers where the aliens began constructing a crèche. The funny thing is, in the finished film, you see two skeletons in a crèche through predator vision. One is a bigger human and one is smaller. Did they originally film all this stuff and then just cut it out? The Predator homeworld was honestly one of those things that made me yawn in the movie because there is zero exploration of it. It might as well just been a picture. It would have saved a lot of money if the Predator was just getting a message on a ship. Tidbits impress me, but they don't make movies for tidbits. Except this one. There were several versions of the Predator homeworld, and as you can see, some of them were pretty cool. Now, the Predator wolf is based off Harvey Keitel's character in Pulp Fiction. This predator is often maligned because it goes to Earth by itself. The Predator is basically a cleanup guy. We don't know what Wolf knows. For all we know, a ship just crashed and he's supposed to clean it up. He might know there is an alien, but we are not given any insight in the film, so I can suspend disbelief over this argument. That is, until an hour in the movie, where the infestation is out of control and he calls no one. We could argue this is due to pride, like a Klingon, but I argue it's because of suicidal tendencies. Now, if you look closely, you can see some skinned predators in the background, and the Predalien did this. However, there was a longer idea that would have Wolf very upset and offended by this sight, as having an abomination use predator rights on his species was very disgusting to him. But in the end, this scene did not make it into the final cut. At this point, Wolf knows there's a Predalien and several facehuggers that are loose and free. By now, he should be calling for backup. Are you telling me dude was not fully armed with the best gear when he arrived on the planet? Why does he need more? Am I missing something here? I imagined he would at least restock blue vial liquid, but I guess it constantly replenishes itself throughout the film, which is not very believable. But I digress. Moving on. Some complain that the explosion of the ship is not comparable to the explosion from the first Predator film, and I can get beyond this as well. Honestly, I don't know every detail of Predator tech. I never read a technical manual for Predator gear like I did for Star Trek or Star Wars films. For all I know, they can control the blast radius via their arm console, so that doesn't bother me. Despite this, the ship explosion should be pretty loud and big, just like the crash. Did this not garner attention from locals or the government? So let's take a look at the characters from this film, and I'm not going to spend too much time on them because they were attempts to copy characters from other Alien Predator films. Whether they were successful or not, you decide, but honestly, I enjoy new characters that don't resemble others in a franchise. Kelly is a Ripley copy, in charge but feminine. I actually like Aylesworth's emoting in the film because I'm a sucker for true, intelligent girl bosses like Ripley, Sarah Connor, Scarlett, Lilo, and oh yeah, that beautiful Baroness, to name a few. Molly is obviously Newt. Dallas is a Hicks family insert, or he can double as Dylan, the convict with a conscience from Alien 3. Morales is the reluctant leader like Hicks in Aliens, Ripley in Alien and Alien 3. Ricky is naive and analogous to the young soldier Spunkmeyer in Aliens. See my vid of Aliens if you don't know that character. Or he can double as Aaron in Alien 3. He really is just a follower trying to survive. Jesse is pretty much Lambert, scared, submissive, and dies due to panic. The truth is, Ricky and Jesse are basically Friday the 13th teens inserted into an Alien film. Colonel Stevens is obviously the company man, or the company itself, directing the death of everyone. I could do more correlations with other characters in the franchise films, but why do that? These are just cardboard copies in one way or another. In the end, the rest of the characters are just fodder to be killed. Had they kept with some of the things in the earlier script between Ricky and his brother Dallas, these two characters could have been unique and interesting. Also, Kelly and her husband going through a divorce and trying to survive together would have also been unique. But instead, these things were scrapped for generic copies, and I can't fathom why. As far as Wolf killing the cop in the woods, I guess I can get it. The cop saw the predator, and at this time, Wolf would want to be invisible or unknown, so killing him seemed logical from the predator's point of view. However, you can easily argue this point because why isn't the predator invisible? And I'm sure there's some fan out there who will defend all this by saying,
"No sense makes sense, you dig?"
The director stated that Wolf is there to erase the predator and alien presence, and it doesn't care one way or the other about killing humans, period, and leaving their bodies. Once the alien infestation is clear in the sewers, I reasoned that Wolf basically said fuck it, and did not hide his presence anymore, or keep up with destroying evidence. It is the only way I can describe his inconsistency later in the film by just dropping useless gear or letting many see him and not acting upon them. As Wolf enters the sewers, he is laying traps everywhere and walking past aliens who obviously know he's there. Now, if you remember from Aliens, when humans entered the hive, they watch them before making their move, and so this could easily explain why they don't just jump on Wolf when he walks by them. However, the big problem is about to appear, and that is that the alien creatures are treated like dumb animals. Since Alien Resurrection, this is the only way the aliens have been treated, and this is one of the main reasons why the franchise is in such a mess. There is no intelligence or mystery about these creatures. They are now just hiding in shadows, jumping out. The aliens have no identity except to hiss and kill. During the first Alien, you didn't know what this thing was thinking or what it was going to do next, and if you saw it, you were most likely dead. Aliens established intelligence and territorial traits In Alien 3, it showed a hybrid, and thus it did act like an animal like it should have. Even Alien Resurrection, which was more comedy, utilized intelligent traits to trap the people trying to get out of the ship. Since then, the creatures have pretty much been the same note. And unfortunately, this is my biggest gripe with any Alien film since Resurrection. AVP Requiem is no exception. The aliens themselves are just pathetic in this movie. I understand why they're pushed aside by the Predalien, like lackeys, but they are still part of a collective hive, and therefore the Predalien didn't need to push it aside, but this movie did it anyways. These creatures are easily killed with one hand by Wolf. And are you telling me in this scene the two aliens being held are not stabbing him with their tails or clawing into his flesh with their hands? It's just sad how weak and inconsistent these creatures are portrayed in this film. Unfortunately, the directors didn't want this scene like this. It was Fox that wanted it this way, and we covered that in our Part 2 video. What's worse is when the Predalien appears, it just smacks Wolf away rather than killing him. This is the biggest threat this creature's found on the planet, but I guess this film needs Wolf to survive, so it leaves him alone after getting the advantage. And by the way, isn't alien acid supposed to be dangerous? We see a dude dying from acid in the sports shop, so I guess the acid only works on characters that are not important to the plot. Some apologists for this film cite that Wolf was the best of the Predators and therefore had acid-proof equipment. But it doesn't explain away this shot for this human, or this shot with a Predalien puking acid all over the Predator's chest. Don't tell me all this missed his unarmored areas. In the end, the directors did say that they wanted to have more acid effects in the film, but there was just no money to do it. For instance, on the helicopter roof set, they wanted it to be elevated so they could emulate acid damage. But there were two problems. One, it was raining, and therefore it nullified the acid-looking effects. And again, they just didn't have the money, so they couldn't do it. In the diner, there was supposed to be a Predalien vision, but this was not done due to money and time. The directors stated they wanted to establish that the Predalien could utilize pregnant women to breed faster, and the waitress, who was the girlfriend of the cop that died in the woods, was pregnant as well. But to retain later shock value in the maternity ward, they cut this to show the impregnation later. Another failed gag for the movie were the tombstones. They had the names of the people that died in Predator on the tombstone. This tombstone you see here is Hawkins, but the movie is so dark you can't see it, and you have to bring up the brightness and exposure infinitely higher just to see it. What a waste. During the shootout scene, you can often hear the peacock elephant squeal sound effect used in Aliens, which was a demand of Colin Strauss, because he was such a fan of Aliens, and I did appreciate that they brought back that sound effect. Now, we covered some of the problems with using the .50 caliber machine guns in Part 2, but what we didn't cover was why Kelly was pictured using the gun in a trailer. It all starts with a storyline cut from the film where two kids were in the hospital where their mother was. The Predalien arrives, and Fox Studios really pushed that they wanted the kids to have scenes analogous to Jurassic Park's raptor scene. You can see in this previs segment one of the kids evading the Predalien here. The Strauss team was not enthusiastic about doing the scene, but they did film several parts of it, including the kids in the hospital, as you see here. Eventually, both kids, named Kendra and Curtis, would flee from the hospital, get in a car, and an alien would jump on the roof. The kids would drive until they see the armored tank. They would then slam on the brakes as the alien flew, and Kelly would get on the .50 caliber gun, killing the alien. Then the group would take the kids into their fold. It was noted by those on the set that the kids were in the back of the APC during the scene where Kelly says the government contains things. That's why you don't see a cut to those sitting in the middle of the seat next to the sheriff. When the sheriff would eventually head to the center of town, Kendra and Curtis would go with him, where they would eventually die by the bomb. Now, the Predalien puking litters into people has been explained, and it was clearly H.R. Giger inspired by his designs from Alien 3. And although the effect is gross, disturbing, and memorable, I am not impressed by it at all. I actually thought where they showed this was in bad taste, but shock value is what this film went for first and foremost, and I will say I was shocked the first time I saw it, so I guess that means it was effective. As we mentioned before, this Predalien has a thing for pregnant women, and therefore it uses every single pregnant woman for gestation on this ward. The moment the aliens are all over the hospital, Wolf should have nuked the place himself, because calling for help would be too late. He has no way to track down the countless aliens wherever they are. Instead, he just keeps going and charges in the door, as if to say, "Come at me." When he did this, I lost total interest in this Predator, because if 20 aliens converged on him right there because of the noise he made, he would have been slaughtered. I really would like to know how fast this hive got built. The logic of time in this film is just a disaster. When Jesse dies at the end of the film, Kristen Hager was launched by a ratchet with a stuntman who was Colossus in X-Men 3 and would play a Predator in this film. What you see is in camera, and she was banged up a bit, according to Colin Strauss, but the shot is very effective. What was more effective was for the first time during this movie, I felt something. Jessie, that cringy girl who always liked the bad boys and used seduction on Ricky, was dead. Hey, do you remember when predators bled after they'd been shot? They actually got hurt. I wonder why this predator isn't getting hurt being shot. Oh, never mind. After having victory over the Predator, Ricky was actually supposed to be ripped in half by the Predalien like Bishop, but the producers said no to the idea. Back on the Predator getting shot, after he fell in the elevator, it was stated by the filmmakers that Wolf would have been a bloody mess, with bullet holes and wounds everywhere. But the next scene on the rooftop wouldn't work because the blood makeup would wash away due to the rain in seconds. This is the reason he looks completely unscarred when he reappears. Honestly, I understand the situation, but it would have been far better if they just cut the rain on the rooftop and let him remain a bloody mess so you would know the Predator isn't like this.
Yes! I am invincible!
Sadly, the fight between the Predalien and the Predator is just guys in suits, and no amount of darkness or rain can change that. The choreography was filled with convenient survival moments for both creatures. It didn't even compare to the fights in the first AVP. The filmmakers stated that nuking the city was a commentary on how humans are the most destructive force in this movie, as the aliens follow an agenda of reproduction and food, while the Predator also follows a code. Humans don't, thus nuking those in their own society, and this harkens back to what Ripley said in Aliens.
You know, Burke, I don't know which species is worse. You don't see them fucking each other over for a goddamn percentage.
Truthfully, I had a hard time believing there wasn't some stray alien outside the blast zone, and it was an easy way to do a sequel. And I definitely think it was stupid to just include one Predator in this movie trying to deal with this problem. There should have been tons of Predators dying left and right trying to deal with this situation. And for anyone who thinks Wolf is the ultimate predator who took on an entire infestation of aliens by himself, I just want to point out that he is completely ineffective. Because if he was intelligent and a real cleaner, he would have begun his arm nuke before engaging the Predalien, because in the end, it killed him. Had the humans not nuked their own city, the Earth would have been overrun. Let that sink in. Wolf is not cool or tough. He is inconsistent and either arrogant or dumb. Pick your poison. After our heroes escape, Dallas would turn over the Predator gun, and the director stated the next shot would have the Special Forces team turn their guns on the survivors and kill them, but the production was out of time and money, so the scene wasn't shot. At the end of AVP2, Yutani is given Predator technology, and it was originally planned to have a post-credits scene where the Predator gun would morph into the Weyland-Yutani logo, where 50 years have passed and a ship is approaching the xenomorph homeworld, where some predators would be hunting a gigantic xenomorph king predator. This scene was axed when Fox stated they would rather have such things appear in AVP3 instead of making a post-credit sequence. In the ashes of AVP2's theatrical release, Fox pushed out the DVD and Blu-ray on April 15, 2008, and to garner any interest, they touted more footage with more violence. Eventually, AVP2 would make $27 million in DVD sales in the United States, which brings us to me. I never bought the DVD back in the day, but I did see it in theaters in Montoursville, Pennsylvania. At the time, I didn't like the film at all. I couldn't see anything. I cared nothing for any human in the movie, and I sat there wondering what happened to the franchise. It was a B movie to me, and I was a bit upset that these two iconic film species were in such a flawed film. I felt the movie diminished them, and to be honest, I hated the movie for that. Although Fox turned away from the AVP franchise after its theatrical run, writer Liam O'Donnell tried his best to pitch a third film, and he made a treatment. This treatment had corporations now ruling the world, and Weyland-Yutani had the most power. The film focused on a group of humans in South Africa, which was the main mining hub for minerals needed for space travel. The group consisted of rebels working under an uneasy alliance. People show up missing, and it's discovered that the alien queen from the first AVP film has a hive in the depths of the Earth. Melting of the polar ice caps freed this queen. The Weyland-Yutani Company attacks the area to maintain control, and then 3 predators arrive attracted to the fighting. To escape the fighting, rebels go in the mines, and a facehugger jumps on one. They try to cut it off, but it kills the man after bleeding all over him. The facehugger runs out to survive and attaches itself to a lion. Of course, a predator would later fight a lion alien, and they duke it out fighting tree branch to tree branch. The 2 aliens eventually kill each other, and the other 2 predators are soon attacked by many different hybrid aliens from various animals before falling into a sinkhole that drops them face to face with the alien queen below. The 2 aliens would try to fight her, but in the end, one of the predators would activate its self-destruct while the other predator escapes. Those who survive blast into space, and one of the main characters is surprised that an alien and predator are fighting on board the ship. They eventually blow them both out of an airlock, fighting each other in space as they float away, while the main character then notices the predator left a wrist bomb aboard the ship. At the end of the film, only one survivor jettisons as the ship explodes. The survivor from the ship then wakes up to see a bunch of space jockeys who are observing the survivor wake up as a queen bursts out of them. Machines grab the creature, but we fade to black, hearing the distress call of the derelict that we heard in the 1979 Alien film. This treatment was absolutely discarded by Fox, but Liam O'Donnell would still return in an attempt to help repair AVP2. I actually thought for the 10th anniversary that we should go to Fox and talk to them about it, but the brothers weren't as receptive to it. After making this channel, I promised to review all the Alien and Predator films, so I finally bought the DVD about 2 months ago. The funny thing is, since 2015, movies have gotten so awful and formulaic that watching Alien vs. Predator Requiem was not so offensive as the past. But that didn't mean I enjoyed it. When looking at this film, it's clear the directors were hired to make a product just like a commercial. Though the directors tried to add logic and other details to the film, the studio blocked them on many levels. The studio heads at Fox had no respect for the material beyond its money-making potential. It's sad because I think left to their own devices, the brothers Strauss would be better known for a more competent alien film, but instead they are rated as makers of the worst alien predator film of all time, and it's really not fair due to the circumstances. As for me, I rate Requiem as the bottom of the totem pole for alien films. But to be honest, The Predator is the worst unintelligent film from both franchises. Well, that's it for our Alien vs. Predator 2 coverage. In our next video, we return to my favorite director, John Carpenter, and his legendary The Thing. Get your poker faces on as we determine who is who and who did what to make that film iconic. If you like what you see here, click like and subscribe. Super thanks helps, and so does sharing. Thanks for being here.